The interesting thing about life is that when you're living life, you don't realize sometimes how your experiences can be really transformational or very entertaining for other people. And so that's the case with me. It's not until I'm casually having conversations with colleagues or friends or family members that I'm reminded of, like, wow, that's a really crazy story or a very interesting experience or a cool observation. So, be that as it may, I have been encouraged to share more stories. And so, the story that I want to share today is with relation to Jay-Z. So, back in 2008, I actually hand delivered my resume to Jay-Z, and I'm going to share how that came about and what happened after I handed the resume to him. So, first of all, my name is Maria Lloyd. I am the owner of an email marketing firm named Opens Clicks Cash. I am also the author of a book titled Words Are Wealth, and I'm on a personal mission to help as many small business owners as possible reach their first six figures in business. If that mission resonates with you, I want to invite you to come along with me on this journey by simply liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and making sure that you hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post future content. So let's move along to this, opportunity that I had to give my resume to Jay-Z. So in 2008, I received an email inviting me to apply for a job to work for the Obama campaign. I just graduated from college, so I was very, anxious and excited about this opportunity for more reasons than one. One of the main ones being that the recession was quite horrible in 2008. And so, as a recent college graduate with student loans knocking on my door, I knew that I needed to hurry up and secure employment. And so, I applied for this position, but I must add that when I applied for this position, it was a very bizarre situation because the email that invited me to apply for this position was delivered on like a Thursday. And for some reason, it didn't reach my inbox until the following Monday. So technically, I had missed the deadline to apply for the job, but I did it anyway. Okay. And so I applied for the job. I thankfully got called to be interviewed. Then I was offered, an offer was extended, and then I was packing my bags and moving to Ohio. And as you all may or may not be familiar, in the United States, Ohio tends to be one of those battleground states when it comes to election time. A battleground state is essentially a state that is not really loyal to one party or the other. So oftentimes, presidential candidates really try to sway the vote, in their direction because it is a state that is very important and it can go either way. So, nevertheless, I was hired to work in Ohio, and part of that role was for me to be in the community canvassing, for me to organize community-centric events with prospective voters in favor, obviously, of President Barack Obama. And so, sometimes, like as a campaign worker, we would get inside scoop on exciting opportunities that were coming to the area. And so one day I was working, and my supervisor at the time came in, like, into the office area where all of us were working frantically, saying, like, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Puff Daddy, and I think Mary J. Blige, they were all going to be at some rally that we were having. And so it was like, wow, for me, that was a huge deal because I have been a fan of Jay-Z since I was 13 years old. I mean, I was 13 years old listening to Hard Knock Life Volume 2, knew every word, lyric for lyric, and being raised in the South, it was very weird and bizarre because most people were listening to Cash Money Records or listening to Lil Boosie or these other artists, but I was listening to Jay-Z. I was a Jay-Z fan. I'm geeked. I can't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, wow, this is a lifetime, a once in a lifetime opportunity to be in close proximity to this powerful person. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and like print my resume. I'm going to print out my resume. And for those of you who've known me since my college days, I had one goal in mind. My goal was to go to college, not to secure a degree and like go out and get a job. But the ironic thing was, I wanted to go to college in Atlanta, by the way, so that I could meet Jay-Z or Diddy and drop out of college and work for them. Now, thankfully, I did not meet Diddy when I was in college, because I think I probably would have been on the long list of folks that are, coming out and suing him and all of these things. So thankfully, I did not meet him. I had the pleasure of meeting his late children's mother, Kim Porter, but I never met him, thankfully. So with that being said, I printed copies of my resume with the intent of giving one at least to Jay-Z for sure. He was like number one on the list. And then I was like, well, I know Diddy respects like people who put themselves out there and like present themselves as like the ultimate hustler. Those of you who may not know, he actually had a reality show where he kind of like was looking for, I think, a manager or something, and like he put them through all these crazy obstacles. So anyway, I was like, I know Diddy respects the grind. So like if I get my resume to Diddy, I know that he's more than likely going to appreciate that. So I print out the resume copies. And so long story short, my supervisor at the very last minute tried to give me some little task that was going to actually like go throughout the night, which would have caused me to miss the event. So that's a whole nother story in itself. If you're subscribed to my newsletter, you get the scoop on that part of the story. But nevertheless, I did make it as soon as everyone was walking onto the stage. And there was a moment at the end of the rally where Jay-Z and Diddy and Kevin Liles, who I believe managed Trey Songz, they were like walking into the crowd, kind of like, shaking fans' hands or just kind of walking into the crowd, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is my opportunity. Like, I'm going to give my resume to Jay-Z by any means necessary. He's going to get this resume. So because I appeared at the rally a bit later, I mean, of course, by the time I got there, it was packed out. It was outside, but the area that people could be in, like inside of the gate, that was closed off. I couldn't be inside of the gate. But I could be outside of the gate, right? And so Jay-Z was walking, and he never got like close enough for me to like tap his shoulder, but he was close enough for me as a Southern woman who's loud, and whose voice carries. He was loud. He was close enough to hear me, right? And so when I saw him like walking, near where I was standing, I hollered out. I was like, "Hey, Jigga, Jigga!" And he looked my way, and I literally rolled up my resume in like a scroll, and like I handed it to him. And so he grabbed the resume, he opened it, and he kind of looked at it with like this puzzled look. Now, mind you all, this is a matter of seconds, right? This is not like he was studying the resume for 5 minutes. No. But he grabbed it out of my hand, and then he kind of like looked at it, and then he like, kind of did one of these numbers, like, what the hell is this? And then he gave it to his security guard that was next to him. And so Diddy came by, but Diddy was just too hyped. Like he was jumping up and down and all that. So I couldn't get his attention. Again, I'm so thankful that didn't work out. And so yeah, and that was my night. I was pumped up. I couldn't believe it. Like I handed Jay-Z my resume. That is crazy. And so as you all may notice, did I get a call from Jigga, from Rock Nation, from Rockefeller? I don't know if Rockefeller, it was a Rockefeller or Rock Nation in 2008. I don't remember. But did I get a call from Jay-Z's camp? No, I didn't get a call from Jay-Z's camp, okay? It didn't happen. It didn't work out, and that's fine. But my point is, you've got to be willing to show up. Well, you've got to have the audacity to show up in your life and show up for yourself. Okay. So whether that's to show up for yourself in a personal manner with regard to a relationship, if that is to show up for yourself professionally, whether you're running your own business or you're working for someone, you have to have audacity to put yourself out there and to, make sure that you give yourself a chance at getting whatever that is that you want. And so obviously at that point in my life, I felt that I wanted to work for someone like Jay-Z. I've always looked up to him. I felt that, for him to come from the literal hard knock life, and become a multimillionaire slash billionaire, that is not an easy feat, right? You're listening to someone who is the product of a former drug kingpin who's serving life in prison. My father's been in prison since I was a toddler, right? So I understand the struggle. I understand what it means to grow up without. I know that better than most people, unfortunately. And so, I have a lot of respect for people that come from those types of situations and are able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and still, make something of themselves. And that's why I really wanted to work for him. But nevertheless, obviously that didn't work out. I didn't get a phone call from Jay-Z and nor his camp. And I'm fine with that. But my point is, I still have that same audacity that I had at that age today. I show up for myself in my business every single day, unapologetically. I insert myself in rooms, I insert myself in spaces that I believe will elevate me. And so, really, this message is less about me giving the resume to Jay-Z than it is about the need for you and me to show up and have the audacity to keep showing up for yourself. Will it work out every single time that you do it? No. Will you be embarrassed sometimes? Sure. But I guarantee you that at some point, that major breakthrough that you're seeking will absolutely happen. And it'll only happen because you had the audacity to show up. So, with that being said, always remember, content is currency and words are wealth. I will check back in with you again soon. Peace. Pampa me on, pampa me on.